Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Mind series, which really wasn't supposed to be a series, but shout out to 42 Blades for saying, hey, you should do more guides like this, and be more specific. So, today, we are going to be taking on my favorite ranked mode, Tower Control. So how does Tower Control differ from the Rainmaker matches that we saw earlier? In particular, how do they differ on one of Splatoon 3's newer maps, Brinewater Springs? Well, let's find out. And if you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to subscribe for more fun and informative Nintendo content. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here we are, Tower Control, Brinewater Springs. Kind of a low-range comp for us, but not a ton of range for them either. The Jet Squelcher is kind of the only long-range weapon in the game. So, let's get things started. And the first thing I'm going to do is jump down onto this side route here going into mid. It's really easy to access on Brinewater. And the reason I like to do this is because I like, if I go all the way up to the kind of the end of this road, I like the angle that it gives me, especially at the beginning of the game, because most teams are rushing to mid, they're looking at the tower, and they're not really looking for this sort of flank this early. So I'm going to move in here, and take a look at this. You can see the Slosher is fully focused on the tower right now. They have no idea that I'm here, and so I'm just going to go up and challenge them. Now, this area that I'm looking at here, I really don't like the defensive positions here on Brinewater. I feel like this is actually more of an advantage for an attacker because it's kind of contained. You've got a lot of walls around you. There's only one way to back up. And so, I'm going to charge my Reef Slider here. It's a really good spot. If you've got more than one person here, which we've got both sloshers kind of in the area, it's a great place to just Reef Slide and see how many people you get. So, because I'm focusing on the Slosher, I actually take a really bad angle. I really should have aimed this more towards the middle of that area. But I'm still going to get one. I'm going to get the Slosher. And I would have gotten the Tri-Slosher had they not managed to get that sponge up in time. So now I'm in a kind of a bad spot. The Jet Squelcher's looking at me. They have range, they have high ground, and I don't have my shield. So this is one of those moments where you really need to say, hey, this is not my fight. I'm going to back down. And so I'm going to get out of here. Now, here you can see the Tri-Sloshers dropping down into mid. They're my focus, but watch in the lower left of my screen. You see that? There was a little bit of ink being flung there. The Splat Doolies are actually trying a flank from that side. So I'm going to have to turn and deal with them. So we do that. Connection looks a little shaky there. $20 a year, right? So when you're playing as the Undercover Brella, you've really got to be careful about watching your surroundings. If you see ink pop up like that, you can get an early warning as to where people might be approaching you. So here, we're going to clean up the Tri-Slosher in mid. We're going to actually try and get this Jet Squelcher. Now here, this is really a bad idea. I'm going after the Jet Squelcher, but I'm kind of jumping into their line of fire. It's actually the Slosher that's going to get me. But you have to be really careful when approaching the tower, because if somebody's, they're going to be up there, they're going to be firing, don't just swim right into their line of fire. It's not going to work. So here, we're actually going to finish off this Slosher and continue our push. So I like this spot. I'm actually going to drop an ink mine here because, again, from spawn, you can drop right into this side area. So what I want to do is make sure we know about that. So I'm going to put a mine to try and locate somebody, and lo and behold, you'll see almost immediately as I place that mine, the Slosher is going to drop on me, or the Tri-Slosher, actually. And so I'll back up. Now, Sloshers are a really tough matchup for an Undercover Brella, especially if they're on the tower. If they have high ground, they've got that sloshing mechanic that can get up and over your shield, so they're really tricky to deal with. So in this case, I'm not going to play around. My Reef Slider's charged. I'm just going to take this guy out. So I'll go after them. Now, you can see the jet squelchers looking at us again. This is another bad spot. You know, then they have range, they have high ground. We have our shield at the moment, but we really don't want to sit out here in the open. So we're going to try, right here, we're actually going to try and dive towards the tower and take away that angle so the jet squelcher can't just shoot at us from there. So here. Now, the Undercover Brella is a great weapon for tower riding, especially if you can use that pole to your advantage. So between the pole and your shield, you're going to last on tower a lot longer than you have any right to. And right now the defenders are actually in a tough position because you can see they're all actually, well, they're all kind of stuck in this corner area. So there's nobody on the defensive ledge to actually go after me. So you'll see eventually one comes up, I'm going to splat them, but then I'm going to go down. I pretty much have the entire team looking at me right now. I really shouldn't have been able to ride the tower that long, but it's partially poor defense, it's partially poor map layout. Whatever the reason, we have gotten the push to 43. Not terrible, but we would like to get more. So I'm going to jump in, and again, I don't really know what this Tri-Slosher is trying to do. They're kind of pushing in mid, but here I've actually got two people looking at me, or I'm looking at them. I don't know if they're looking at me, but there's the Slosher and there's the Jet. Now, when it comes to the Undercover Brella, the one class of weapons I find that you have a really big advantage on are anchor weapons, especially splatlings and chargers, less so something like a jet squelcher. Because with these slower weapons with longer charge times, they leave you with this opening that you can push in and attack them, and of course, they have to get through your shield before they can get to you. So in this case, I'm going to kind of ignore the Slosher. I'm going to go right after the jet squelcher and just clean them up, and then turn around. Here, the enemy's in kind of a bad spot because they're feeding a little bit. They're kind of trickling in one at a time. So we're going to be able to focus this Slosher and then focus the Splat Dualies. I'm going to chase them down and get rid of them. And now we've got the Tri-Slosher in front of us. Now here, you kind of know what's happening. I've got the high ground. I've got my Reef Slider charged. I'm not going to play around with a Tri-Slosher. But again, Sloshers are a tricky matchup. They can get their shots up and over the tower, up and over the Reef Slider, and they're actually going to get me right before I can go after them. They go down immediately after, but they essentially traded. So here, again, Slosher in mid, not really sure what they're doing. The Jet Squelcher is up on the wall there. So we get a clutch bubbler there. I'm going to sit on tower for a second. I'm going to get rid of these Splat Dualies. And that's always fun. You try to go for the tower and it ends up going up, and you wind up underneath it. This is a great spot for an Undercover Brella. You can see my Reef Slider's charged already. This is the way you want to aim your special. The enemy's going to be coming from that spot to try and get you. But once you've got the tower here, you just aim for the back of their this platform. So you'll see, I'll go here. I'm actually going to again knock out the Slosher, and at this point, I'm just a distraction. I'm sitting here, trying to draw attention away from the tower. I'm just gonna be like, hey, come at me, bros. I've got mines. I'm gonna put one down here. I'm just gonna throw some ink up on the tower. Basically, what I'm thinking is the longer they deal with me, the longer it takes them to take me out, the farther that tower is gonna move behind me. So we're gonna be here. Eventually, two people are gonna come. I'm gonna get the dualies. I'll die to the Slosher, but now you can see the blaster's in position underneath the ledge. But yeah, once the Slosher, or once the Luna Blaster's in that position, it's kind of game over. They really don't have a good angle, and we can just walk away with the victory here. So essentially, you want to pick your spots carefully. You're very good at riding the tower. You're very good at pushing up. You've got some great lines for your reef slider, so you kind of have to assess the situation. What's my special look like? What's the enemy team? Where are they? How many are left? And decide, okay, I'm going to take this step next to get the job done. So, that is my tour through Brinewater Springs Tower Control. Hopefully, you got some useful pointers from that to try and improve your own game. Until next time, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again in a future video. So long!